If 1,000 diets haven't worked, you are not the problem. The method is. The new Fibermaxxing Diet, with its high fiber intake, guides you step by step to transform your body in 30 days. You'll find the Amazon link to the book in the description.
Aloha, I'm your Minna Van Dyken, MD, and welcome back to Out of the Doldrums. Here is a number that should stop you in your tracks. 97% of Americans do not get enough fiber. That means almost all of us are walking around missing out on one of the simplest, most powerful tools for protecting our gut, our heart, and even our brain. And this is where a strange little TikTok trend comes in. It's called fibermaxxing. On social media, it looks like huge bowls of vegetables, loaded smoothies, and endless grams of fiber being proudly tallied up like a scorecard. At first glance, you might think, great, another internet health stunt. But here's the twist. Fibermaxxing is rooted in solid nutrition science. And if you do it thoughtfully, it can transform your digestion, lower disease risk, and even feed your brain. So what is fibermaxxing really? It's the practice of intentionally packing as much fiber as possible into your diet. That could mean loading up on chia seeds, swapping white rice for farro or quinoa, piling on the lentils, or even using fiber supplements like psyllium. TikTok creators are chasing high fiber counts the way some people count their steps. When researchers compared high fiber eaters to low fiber eaters, they found up to a 24% lower risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and colorectal cancer. That's not a marginal difference. That is game-changing. So why and how does fiber work so much magic? Fiber helps lower cholesterol. It flattens out those big blood sugar spikes after meals. It regulates blood pressure. It helps keep inflammation in check. And it's satiating. It helps keep you feeling fuller for longer, which is huge for managing hunger and weight. Did you know? Your microbiome diversity, the variety of good bacteria living in your gut, is directly linked to how much and what kinds of fiber you eat. Let's dig a little deeper into that microbiome story. When you eat fiber, you're not just feeding yourself. You're feeding trillions of tiny bacteria living inside you. Many of these microbes thrive on fermenting fiber, particularly soluble fiber found in foods like oats, beans, and fruits. When they ferment that fiber, they create short-chain fatty acids, like one called butyrate. Butyrate does remarkable things. It feeds your colon cells, reduces inflammation, strengthens your gut lining, and may even lower the risk of colon cancer. These short-chain fatty acids also communicate with your immune system, and they influence your brain through the gut-brain axis. So yes, high-fiber breakfast is actually mood food. Let's pause and answer the big question. The fiber bashers love this question. Can you eat too much fiber? If you look at the research, particularly large studies like the EPIC cohort and the Nurses' Health study, the higher the fiber intake, the lower the risk of chronic diseases like diverticulitis, heart disease, stroke, and colon cancer. In those populations, there is no clear upper limit where fiber becomes harmful. In fact, traditional diets like rural African diets with 70 to 100 grams of fiber per day, that's a lot of fiber, are associated with astonishingly low rates of these diseases. So all in all, for most healthy people, more really is better. But there are some situations where more can backfire. If you go from a diet of 10 grams a day to 50 grams a day overnight, your gut will protest. It will protest with gas, bloating, and cramping. It's not permanent damage. It's simply your microbiome struggling to adjust. Your gut bacteria need time to catch up to your new diet. And then there's the question of nutrient absorption. I'm sure you've heard of phytates. At very high fiber intake, especially when much of that fiber comes from bran or unprocessed grains, the fiber is often bound up with compounds called phytates. These phytates are naturally occurring in seeds, grains, nuts, and legumes. They're actually part of the plant's defense system. They bind to minerals like iron, zinc, magnesium, and calcium to keep them from breaking down prematurely. The problem comes because This binding also happens in your digestive tract. When phytates and certain fibers hold on tightly to these minerals, they can pass through us without being fully absorbed, so we get mineral deficient. But this effect is overhyped. It's usually minimal if your diet is diverse and balanced. But in someone who's theoretically eating extremely high fiber without much variety, or in someone who already has low mineral intake, it could tip the scale towards deficiency over time, like decades. This is also why traditional high fiber cultures usually prepare their foods in ways that reduce phytates, like soaking, fermenting, sprouting, or slow cooking, which makes those minerals more bioavailable. It's also why balance matters. You want fiber for all its benefits, but you don't want so much that it crowds out other nutrient-dense foods or comes only from one source. In other words, the danger is not really fiber itself. It's ramping up too fast, or relying on a narrow range of high phytate fibers, or getting full off of fiber where you don't get other balanced things in your diet, and that way you'd be ignoring the rest of your nutrient needs. For most healthy people, the upper limit of fiber is simply what you can tolerate comfortably, while still getting enough calories, protein, and minerals. Now, let's bust a few myths. Myth number 1, fiber is just for constipation. Absolutely not. It is one of the most important tools we have for heart health, blood sugar control, inflammation, and yes, even mental health. Myth number 2, fiber supplements are just as good as food. Fiber supplements can help, but whole foods give you a mix of soluble and insoluble fibers, plus antioxidants and polyphenols. No scoop of powder can fully replace that. Myth number 3, if a little fiber is good, a lot must be way better. No, it's not a fiber eating contest, people. It's about balance and gradual increases. So how do you Fibermax safely, you may ask? The first tip I give you is start where you are. If you're eating 10 grams a day, aim for 15 or 20 this week, then increase slowly. Stay hydrated. Mix your sources. You could do oats and chia for soluble fiber and leafy greens and whole grains for insoluble fiber. Lastly, just make it enjoyable, make it fun, make it tasty. Here's one simple recipe to try: a high fiber breakfast bowl, one of my faves. You start with overnight oats made with rolled oats, chia seeds, and almond milk. Then you add a handful of berries, a spoonful of ground flax, and some walnuts for crunch. Sprinkle on cinnamon and a touch of honey if you care to. That one bowl can give you 15 grams of fiber before you even leave the house. So is Fibermaxxing just another TikTok gimmick? It could look like one, but it really points to a bigger truth. What this truth is that most of us need more plants, more variety, and way more fiber in our lives. If this trend pushes people towards that, and they do it gradually and thoughtfully, it might just be one of the rare social media health hacks worth keeping. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you one of the 97% of Americans who are not getting enough fiber? Have you tried Fibermaxxing, or are you thinking about it? Share your experience or your questions in the comments below, because I read them all, and your stories shape what I talk about next. And if you want me to make a video showing my favorite easy high fiber recipes that actually taste good, let me know. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to share this with someone who could use a fiber boost in their life. Cherish your health always, everyone, and aloha.